Hello, everyone, and welcome to our kickoff event for National Family Caregivers Month. I'm Lindy Cifuentes, a patient educator with the Stephen and Barbara Sloggy Family Cancer Education Center at Mayo Clinic. I'll be moderating this session today. National Family Caregivers Month, celebrated each November, is a time to recognize and honor family caregivers across the country. Mayo Clinic is hosting a series of virtual and in-person events throughout the month to help caregivers reduce stress, connect with other caregivers, and recharge their mind, body, and spirit. We have some exciting activities planned for today's kickoff event. We will begin with a panel discussion with Mayo Clinic caregiving experts, followed by a fun laughter yoga session and helpful nutrition tips for cancer survivors. We look forward to spending the next 90 minutes with you. This session is being recorded and will be available for viewing in the video library on our cancer education page on Mayo Clinic Connect. We encourage you to follow our page to stay up to date on our events and offerings. This is where you'll find the full schedule of events for our National Family Caregivers Month celebration. We'll share a link to this page throughout the program on the chat. Let's go ahead and get this event started with our panel discussion. This will be a Q&A style discussion. If you have any questions for one of our experts, simply type it into the chat on the bottom of your Zoom screen. We'll do our best to answer as many questions as possible with the time that we have today, as this will end at noon, and we'll kick into our next phase of that. So I'd like to introduce you to the Mayo Clinic experts we have with us today. So I have a little bio to share for each one here. So starting with Dr. Joan Griffin. Dr. Joan Griffin is a consultant and professor of health sciences research at the Mayo Clinic. Her extramurally funded research program is dedicated to improving patient and family caregiver health outcomes by developing, testing, and implementing efficient, equitable, and effective strategies to transform healthcare practice. Her previous work is focused on the impact of caring for people with life-limiting illnesses, cancer, traumatic brain injury, dementia, heart failure, and people being considered for or who have received organ transplants. Along with her multiple collaborators in care management, social work, Office of Care Experience, and volunteer services, Dr. Griffin has also been responsible for spearheading the Caregiver Support Program at Mayo Clinic, Arizona, a novel new program dedicated to supporting caregivers of hospitalized patients. Next is Ellen Wild, nurse here in the Department of Palliative Medicine at Mayo Clinic, Rochester, Minnesota. Ellen recently completed being the intervention nurse for an NIH R1 grant, Technology Enhanced Transitional Palliative Care for Family Caregivers in Rural Settings. Ellen has worked in palliative medicine since 2010. Prior to coming to Rochester, Ellen worked in the Mayo Clinic Health System Mankato Departments of Oncology and Palliative Medicine. Ellen received her Bachelor of Science degree in Biology and Nursing from Minnesota State University, Mankato, Minnesota. Ellen is a certified hospice and palliative care nurse. Ellen holds an academic rank of Instructor of Nursing, College of Medicine at Mayo Clinic. She has presented at palliative care conferences locally, nationally, and internationally. And last but not least, Jose Morales Rojas is a chaplain and educator in training. He started at Mayo Clinic as a clergy volunteer in 2012. Since 2016, he's been working as a chaplain in different roles with the spiritual care department at Mayo Clinic. Originally from Colombia, he comes from a coffee-rich region known for its passion for life and love of dancing. His early life was marked by the impact of armed conflict, which shaped his worldview. After moving to the United States in 2008, he learned English, embraced new experiences, and developed an appreciation for diverse cultures and cuisines. As an immigrant, he empathizes with those facing the challenges of seeking a place in a new land. Jose is grieving the loss and passing to new life of his mother this past August due to a glioblastoma. In his role as a spiritual care provider, Jose welcomes all, respecting diverse beliefs, and serves as a compassionate listener and wounded healer, like Carl Jung, Henry Newman, drawing from his own experiences. He's a lifelong learner who values peace, justice, and freedom, which drive his commitment to making a positive impact on others' lives. And with that, I will go to the chat and find us a question here. So we'll kind of kick off. As we're kind of waiting for some more here, I would just go ahead and open it up to any words that the panel would like to go ahead and start with.
I guess I'll start since it's so quiet. I just wanted to thank you for having a lot of activities for National Caregiver Month. I think our caregivers are incredibly important to us meeting our mission of meeting the patient's needs. One of the things that I often struggle with is that the Mayo motto of the needs of the patient come first often seem to push caregivers to the side, but I think that we've made such great strides lately to show that caregivers are part of that team of providers, and they really make a huge difference in the needs of the patient getting met and helping healthcare providers optimize the outcomes that we have for our patients. So they are critical partners, and I think they're incredibly valuable, and we value the contributions that they provide.
I just want to, to join Dr. Griffin about this gratitude. I mean, there is a lot always with all this experience of caregivers and grief, loss. One of the powerful words that is part of that process too is gratitude. So I want to offer my word of gratitude to all of you for your service, ministry, connection, relationships, whatever you want to call. It is a meaningful presence, so important as a caregivers.
I would also underscore both of my colleagues' comments and add that I was fortunate enough to spend 4 years supporting family caregivers, and I am grateful for the time and that they gave back to us, and I learned so much from them. So I think being open and being curious and really it shared the importance of listening to them and really recognizing not just that their loved ones on a journey, but they are also on their own journey, and being able to support them in that through listening, through just giving them a space and encouraging them to take care of themselves was really important. So I'm so grateful for today and for being part of this. Thank you.
Yes, you're very welcome. So let's see here. We got a question that is up here. Let me get that pulled up. So what are the best practices for providing physical care to a loved one with mobility challenges or disabilities?
Wow, the first thing that family caregivers focus on is their loved one and the care of their loved one and getting them all the resources available. So I would always encourage family caregivers to seek out the advice and the resources, not just from the local, I would say from the local, their local primary provider, the importance of having a local provider that they can seek that kind of meet those physical needs. Oftentimes we have to think outside the box a little bit and try to work with our social work colleagues, our physical therapy and occupational therapy colleagues to what's available in my community. Because I think one of the things that we learned in our study that there's a difference in the rural communities, what's available. So seeking to support the physical needs of your loved one, whether you need a device or advice on how to safely mobilize someone. Also, if they're currently hospitalized, being present as you're able as a caregiver to learn from the physical therapists and the nursing staff, and not to, please, I hate to say this, but you have to really advocate for yourself and your loved one. So if there are needs that you have, and then there's also in the social work through our social work colleagues, sometimes there's community resources that we don't even think of. I have a friend who was seeking some care for her elderly father. He's living at home. And one of the things I suggested is to see what was available through the VA, because he's fully vested, he's fully served by the VA. So there's oftentimes things that people don't even think of that might provide them with those additional actual physical resources.
And beside that, thank you, Helen. And is all this emotional peace component, that basically grieving the loss of their capacity of mobility. So to be mindful of that is very important. They're grieving. They're trying to find a way to feel that they're important, but at the same time, they're mindful of how is my caregiver doing with me being like a burden. So there's a lot of emotional component and grieving, and they're trying to find a way to be less a burden for those who are around. So they're struggling a lot with that. So to be able to listen, to let them express those feelings, those thoughts, or those emotions are very important. Sometimes it's difficult to come with the right answer, but just let them speak out and say what they are going through is essential too.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting that the first question out of the box is one about the physical burden of caregiving, because we typically go to the emotional burden of caregiving and how difficult that is, like Jose was saying. And we often don't remember that caregiving can be a huge, huge stress on the body. The different positions we have to get in, transferring patients, getting patients out of bed onto the toilet, depending on what it is. Sometimes that's really difficult on the body, and it can strain and stress a body, especially if it's caregiving over a long period of time and not just like a post-surgical event. So, back to what Ellen was saying about relying on the resources that we have, it might be a really good idea to talk to physical therapists. I mean, physical therapists tend to go to the patient, the patient's needs, and what the patient, needs physical therapy wise. But I think as a caregiver, to advocate for yourself and say, I need to know if I'm doing these lifts appropriately. Am I transferring this person in a body position that's not going to hurt me in the long run? And really working with that physical therapist, because you are part of that care team. And if you end up getting injured because of the physical stress in your body, then you need another caregiver for you and for the person you're caring for. So I think it's really important to get that advice on making sure that that you're taking care of your body, you're doing things that are not going to create an injury.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that one of the things that I always stress, and I think that Jose and Ellen have said this too, is it's time to call in reinforcements. It's time to call in your social network.
Mm-hmm.
Caregiving has a lot to do with drawing on other people who can help you out, mm-hmm. and seeking out people who are willing to help. And I think sometimes, mm-hmm. it can be incredibly isolating, and it can shut doors from other people coming in to help. But I think it's one of those critical things, either at the beginning of the caregiving journey and sometimes at the end. That's sometimes when it's easy to get people to come in and help out. It's the middle of the caregiving journey that's really hard to have, mm-hmm. people come in over and over and over again. But reach out to your church, reach out to healthcare providers, reach out to your friend group. Those are people that can help you. And I think they're critical to begin to mobilize those efforts as early as possible.
Yeah. I want to add to that too, because that is so powerful, Joan. And it was reminded me of the importance, both of you said, the emotional side. Caregivers try to balance safety, and patients want independence. And so there's this pull and tug that constantly goes on to provide the most safe environment for your loved one. Of course, you want to keep them safe, but at the same time, you want to balance that with a sense of independence, and that can really tear at one's heartstrings and be very emotionally draining to find that balance. So, and I think from a perspective, I shared something with caregivers a lot, and it was say yes. Say yes when people offer you help. Say yes when that it's okay to need extra help. Caregivers really want to feel like they're doing everything they can and they're strong enough to do it on their own. But it does take a village to take care of someone. As a nurse, I couldn't go into a home and take care of someone solely by myself. I'd have to recognize when it's okay to say yes to those added supports, whether it's someone shoveling your walk, mowing your lawn, or helping you bathe or move your loved one in a safe manner. So there's a definite difficult challenge and balance there.
Nice. Well, you guys started to go into the next question, which was, how do I maintain my own mental and emotional well-being while caregiving? And so you kind of answered that already there towards the tail end. So I'm going to move into the next one, but if you want to add in, you can. And this one kind of plays into that. How can I foster social connections and prevent isolation for my loved one?
Again, it's interesting that it's for the loved one and not for themselves, right? I think that sometimes we worry that caregivers are being socially isolated, but I think that the care recipients that we usually call people who are receiving the care recipients, that they can feel socially isolated too. I remember working with a guy who had a traumatic brain injury, and his dad was caring for him, and he was really worried about, he was a young guy, he was probably in his 20s, and he was really worried about his son being socially isolated. And he brought him to the bar and they played Texas Hold'em, and they kind of created this community of card players. And this group sort of took him in and, embraced him as one of their own. And so I think sometimes doing things that might feel uncomfortable or risky, I think is really helpful. And I think drawing on previous relationships or, it's important to make sure that the person you're caring for feels the dignity and grace that they deserve. And I think making sure that those social connections are there is really important. And again, that might be church groups. It might be old friends that you haven't talked to. It might be online support. I mean, there's a lot out there in Facebook support groups and in other ways that they're able to communicate and they're able to connect that way. They do provide some support from a distance. And I don't think that, I think sometimes we discount those, but I think that they can be really important, especially in, places when we've got limited mobility and it makes it hard to kind of get out and get around. So those are some ideas that might work. Jose or Ellen, you might have others.
I just gonna mention when I was thinking about this panel and sharing, and also my experience of grieving the loss of my mom this past August, after battling cancer for 7 years and 3 kind of cancers. So it came with a quote that I like. I'm in my spiritual beliefs and background, I'm Catholic. That doesn't mean that we don't take care of anyone with any belief connections. But I just like this quote from Saint Clare of Assisi. She say, "Our body is not made of iron. Our strength is not that of stone. Live and hope in the Lord, and let your service be according to reason." And I was thinking to that quote because it made me to think about my reality as a human being, as a caregiver. We are fully humans, and that humanity have also vulnerability, and vulnerability is beautiful too. It's part of our human condition. So that when the question about relationship, so that relationship with ourselves, knowing who we are and our capacities, our vulnerabilities. From there, also to reach out to those with our relationship with ourselves, also those who are around us, loved ones, family, has been very helpful for me to have family meetings at least once a week. We met with my sisters, 3 sisters, and my brother, and we talk about it. We talk about the memories that we have and all these experiences, but also your relationship with your beliefs, with your how you make meaning, or with God or higher power, or all those relationships are important too.
When we think about keeping people connected, it looks differently today than it used to look. We did our study with family caregivers during COVID, and so getting them, they became even more socially isolated in many ways, and trying to be creative to identify what, as Jose so well put, where do they find meaning and purpose? What were things that brought them joy prior to being ill? Who are their support? Who's their go-to person? And that would be my question to the caregiver. But also you could pose that same question to the care recipient as well. That could work both ways. Who are your go-to people? Who's your community? Trying to start to identify that, and how do you stay connected? How do you find ways to have even like text messaging often was one way of connecting with people without them spending a large amount of time on the phone or having to retell story over and over again, or asking for additional support or connection. Finding ways to do that within your own community, whether it's your church community, whether it's your small town. I've often had caregivers and patients say, well, I don't want everybody in town to know what's going on, and it's a small town. And so trying to be creative and thoughtful about that. I think it's individualizing it to what meets the individual's needs. And so trying to help them sometimes was me helping them process that out loud, and then them having some validation that it's okay not only to be connected and to try these things, and to be willing to just think outside the box a little bit. So trying to individualize it for the person.
Great, thank you guys. So we're nearing the hour here, but we got another one, and this one is finally for the caregiver. Are there any educational or training programs available to improve my caregiving skills?
There are a number. There are a couple programs that have really good research behind them. One is called Building Better Caregivers, which is out of Stanford. And that's an online program that kind of takes people through the caregiving process, and you can kind of enter in at different times. Easter Seals actually does a really nice caregiver training program. And the VA uses them as their primary trainer for the caregivers in the VA's caregiver program. And then there's another one called REACH, which was historically was developed for caregivers of people with dementia or Alzheimer's, but has reached out to different types of conditions as well. Those are some evidence-based training programs. There are other programs through the Alzheimer's Association, through the Lymphoma Society. tend to have some training programs as well. The Lymphoma Society, trying to think of, maybe the American Heart Association too has some training programs. I will say that some of these programs are about developing caregiving skills as opposed to developing the self-care processes that I know Ellen works so hard on. And so sometimes that is not sort of a core component, but as far as things like, you know, lifting, developing social support, you know, navigating the healthcare system and the payer system, and how do you begin to figure out how to integrate yourself into the patient's medical record to make sure that you're not just the emergency contact, but that people know that you're involved. So there's all kinds of other training programs that can happen too, but those are the three that sort of are basic caregiver skills that I know about.
Yeah, I would encourage people when there's specific diagnosis, a lot of different, the Cancer Society, American Heart Association, the Alzheimer's Association, ALS is another one, and American Lung Association. All of those groups are focusing more on caregiver support and recognizing the role that caregivers play in their loved ones' life and medical needs. Oftentimes, we would refer people to elder networks in their counties or individual communities for some of those financial and technical kind of resources. I encourage people to reach out. There was we had a caregiver that liked the Mayo Clinic support group, and her husband had a specific cancer diagnosis, and she was able to be part of a support group specific to that, and that provided her a lot of support. So I think there's ways to connect with your own, you know, find out what's in your own community or your own medical situation. Here at Mayo, I think we have Mayo Connect is the group, but being part of that kind of a community specific to your loved one is helpful.
I would second the Mayo Clinic Connect. It's a great resource, and it's open to anybody. You don't have to be either a Mayo Clinic patient or a Mayo Clinic caregiver, but there are some really great resources, and I think people learn a lot from each other in either the support groups or the chat groups that Mayo Clinic Connect has. It's a really well-run program, and I think Ellen's right. It's probably not as well known, but certainly a great resource for people.
Forgot to unmute. So a couple minutes left. Jose, anything to add to that question that was in, or actually we could bring it to some closing thoughts?
I just to add, I mean, there are also different bereavement groups or possibilities where people can go and talk about how they experience the grief, the loss. It's a parallel process as those who are the patients and the caregivers, but the process is parallel, so they can also do their own grief and process of that and grieving. I just want to mention that it's important to talk about it, to say it. I was invited at one time, I think it was last year, a group called Death Cafe, and it was about to talk about death and suffering and pain, and so those kind of groups are very important. Also, we can use it for that.
All right. Well, we are down to our final minute. If you have any parting words for everybody, that'd be great. Otherwise, we want to thank you for taking time out of your day to join us for our panel discussion. And as we said earlier, this is being recorded and will be on the Connect website to follow up. And now we welcome everybody to stay for the laughter yoga portion. We do understand if you do have to take off, but thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for having us. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. You're
Thanks a
welcome.
lot.
Thank you very much.
All right. Well, as we're transitioning here into our next phase of things, into our laughter yoga, we'll get some people added into this session here. And we'll welcome in our laughter yoga instructor for today, and that is Amy Kuth. Welcome, Amy. All right, so are we good to go on everything on your end?
We're good to go. Do you want me to introduce myself or?
I'm ready to introduce you, so
Okay,
I just wanted to make
yes.
sure everything on the technical side was ready to rock and roll here.
Yes, I am trying to unspotlight you, Lindy, but I can't seem to do that for some reason. So if you're able to do that for yourself.
Okay, I will work on that as soon as I get you introduced. So Amy Kuth received her bachelor's degree in exercise and sports science from the University of Wisconsin-La Crosse and received her master's degree in holistic health studies from St. Catherine University in St. Paul, Minnesota. She became a certified laughter yoga leader in 2011 and expanded her training in 2017 by becoming a certified laughter yoga teacher. She has served in a variety of roles at Mayo Clinic and has been involved in teaching and curriculum development for a wide variety of well-being topics. She currently serves as a patient educator in the Mayo Clinic Comprehensive Cancer Center, providing education and well-being support for patients and caregivers throughout their cancer journey. She has a passion for all areas of wellness and has had the opportunity to inspire well-being throughout laughter in many capacities throughout Mayo Clinic and the community. To her, laughter is about finding connection through sharing a universal language that is highly contagious. Since she started leading laughter yoga and having a regular laughter practice, she has become more confident, creative, and playful at home and in the workplace. Laughing is one of her favorite things to do, and she is happy to laugh along with all of you today. So welcome,
Wonderful.
Amy.
Thank you for introducing me with a little bit of laughter, Lindy.
You bet.
All right. Well, hello, everyone. I am super excited to be here today to share some laughter yoga with you. I imagine there are maybe a few of you that have done some laughter yoga before, but for most of you, this may be something new that you're going to explore today. So, laughter yoga is not your traditional yoga class. In a laughter yoga session, you laugh on purpose without relying on humor, jokes, or comedy. It combines playful laughter exercises with deep breathing exercises, which is the yoga component, as well as some gentle movement to receive the therapeutic benefits of laughter. There's all sorts of benefits we know that laughter can give us. Laughter can boost our mood. It can help us reduce stress and anxiety. It can help to boost our immune system, help to manage pain. It can also help us to make or feel more connected to others. Research shows that we gain more benefits for mental health when we laugh on purpose compared to when we laugh naturally. And I think this is especially true when life is feeling overwhelming and natural laughter might be a little bit harder to find. So, laughter yoga can be a really great way for caregivers to take care of themselves. And I would just like to say kudos to all of you for being here and for doing something for you today. So, with that, I will go ahead and get started with my session. For the session today, I will invite you all, if you are able, to share your video. And then I'm also going to invite you to unmute. So I'm going to send you an invitation to unmute if you are able to do that as well. The more we can see each other and hear each other laugh, the more that actually feeds into the laughter throughout the session. So with that, we will go ahead and get started. All right. So let's start with just a little bit of a warm up. So we're just going to start by taking our hands up to the top of our head, and we're just going to kind of tap on our head a little bit here, just kind of waking ourselves up. Good. And then just kind of tap down one of your arms. And then tap down the other arm. And just kind of bring your hands down to your belly, tap on your belly. And moving around to your hips. And just kind of tap at your low back. And then if you're able, just to kind of tap down your legs as far as feels comfortable for you, one leg at a time. Good. And relax. And I should have mentioned before we started that when we do the exercises today, be sure to listen to your body. We're not going to be doing anything too strenuous, of course, but if something doesn't feel right, feel free to modify. The beauty of laughter yoga is there's no right or wrong way to do it. If you can laugh and you can breathe, then you can do laughter yoga. So listen to your body. I encourage you to just kind of have fun, be playful. And all of these exercises can be done seated or they can be done standing. If you're able to stand, that might help a little bit kind of get in a little bit more movement as well. So, all right. So we will just kind of wake up the muscles in our face a little bit more. So just kind of massage your cheeks. Warming up all those laughter muscles, moving down into your chin. And just kind of open up your mouth nice and wide. Good, and relax. Nice. All right. We're going to take a nice big inhale and just bring your arms all the way up towards the ceiling, stretching up nice and tall. Reach up. And then as you exhale, bring your arms down and just let out a big audible sigh. Lovely. I love to hear the sighs. All right. This time, we're going to do the same thing with a huge smile on our face. If you don't feel like smiling right now, not a big deal. You can use your fingers to just kind of work your face into position. Keep that smile on your face. Take a nice big inhale coming up. Stretch up tall. Reach towards the ceiling. And then let out another big sigh. Good. All right. Now repeat after me. Bring your hands to your heart and repeat. Ha.
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 Ha ha.
Ha.
Good. Ha 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 ha.
Ha.
Ha 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 ha.
Nice job. Bring your hands to your belly. Repeat after me again. We're going to practice laughing in a few different sounds. This time we're going to go ho.
Ho.
Ho ho.
Ho. Ho.
Ho.
Ho 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 ho.
Ho.
Ho
Ho.
ho 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 ho.
Lovely. All right. One more time here. You're going to bring your hands down to your knees and repeat after me again. He.
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 He he.
He he.
He.
He 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 he.
Awesome job. All right. Stand up nice and tall again. All right. This time we're going to practice some more purposeful laughter by bringing our arms up tall towards the ceiling. Nice big inhale. And then this time as we bring our arms down and as we exhale, we're just going to let out a loud, purposeful laugh. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Good. Let's do that again. Inhaling up. 1, 2, 3. Lovely. All right. I want to teach you a clapping pattern that we use in laughter yoga. So we mix in clapping and sometimes chanting and affirmation. This clapping pattern, I'm going to demonstrate for you first, and then we will all do it together. It goes like this. Ho, ho, ha, ha, ha. 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 I see some of you are joining in right away as well. Awesome. So essentially we go ho, ho, ha, ha, ha 4 times in a row. And at the end of the 4th time, we throw our hands up in the air and just kind of let out that big audible sigh that we practiced at the beginning. So let's do that all together this time. Ready? Ho, ho, ha, ha, ha. Ho, ho, ha, ha, ha. Ho, ho, ha, ha, ha. Ho, ho, ha, ha. Ah. Nice job. So that clapping pattern serves a couple different purposes. The first purpose is that it helps to kind of just activate all of the pressure points in our hands, gets our blood flowing. The second purpose is it actually serves as a transition for us to move from exercise to exercise. So you may hear me initiate that clapping pattern a couple more times throughout our session today. As I do that, you'll just kind of join right in, and then we'll transition into the next thing. All right, so let's go ahead and move into some more laughter exercises. We are going to make a tight fist with your hands. So I invite you to do that right now. And I want you to imagine that all of the stress from your day, all of the stress from your entire week, maybe even your whole year is captured right here in your fist. And what we're going to do is we're going to laugh out all of the stress with we're going to get out all of the stress with laughter. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to shake and we're going to go ha. We're going to start slow motion, get faster and faster and faster until we're just shaking it all out. Okay, ready? Here we go. Ha.
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 Ha. Get it out. Doesn't that feel good? Nice job. All right, go ahead and relax your arms, relax your shoulders down. This time we're going to do a little bit of breathing with our shoulders. So you're going to inhale, bring your shoulders up. Roll them back. Exhale, relax those shoulders down. Let's do that again. Inhale, bringing them up. Exhale, relax them down. Nice job. Okay, so next we are going to do a laughter sneeze. So for this exercise, we are going to pretend like we have to sneeze really badly. So we're going to build up a really big sneeze. And then instead of sneezing, we're just going to let out a loud laugh instead. Okay. All right. So let's build up that sneeze. Nice job. Here comes another one. Let's do that one more time. Nice job. Ho, ho, ha, ha, ha. 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 Ah. All right. Now that our sinuses are all cleared, we are going to breathe through our ears. So getting a little bit more playful with our breathing. Bring your right hand up to your right ear and pretend like you're inhaling through that ear. Exhale through the left ear. Inhale through the left one this time. Exhale through the right. Inhale through both. And exhale through both. Lovely. Relax those arms down. Good. All right. Next, we are going to do catch and release laughter. So this is an exercise that it encourages us to reframe negative thoughts into positive thoughts. So what we're going to do is we're going to pretend like we're capturing any negative thoughts that might be floating around us right now. And when we do that, we're going to go, ha. And then we're going to transform that negative thought into a positive thought by going, ha, 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 ha. So we'll do that maybe 4 or 5 times in a row, catching all the negative thoughts around you. Ready? Go. Ha. Ha. Catch another one. Ha.
Ha.
Ha. Ha. 2 more times. Ha.
Ha.
Last one. Ha.
Ha.
Good. All right. Let's bring our hands to our hips. This time we're going to do a little bit of breathing with our hips. So take a nice big inhale. And as you exhale, you're going to bring your hips around in a full circle. Good. Inhale again. And exhale going the other direction. Nice job. And then let's do that one more time. Inhale. And this time, exhale any sort of fun shape you want to make, a heart, a star, whatever you want to do. Nice job. All right. For our next laughter exercise, we are going to do what I call exercise laughter. So we're going to take care of ourselves by doing a little bit of exercise. So don't worry, we're not going to do squats or push-ups or anything like that. We're just going to do some simple kind of arm movements. So just kind of bring your feet about shoulder width apart. Kind of just put a nice soft bend in your knees. And then I'll invite you to bring your arms out in front of you. Pretend like you've got 2 ropes in front of you. You're going to grab onto those ropes and you're going to pull those ropes towards you. And pulling them back, squeezing your shoulder blades together. Good. Inhale, grab those ropes. Exhale and pull. Good. Inhale, reach. Exhale, pull. Engaging the belly muscles, squeezing those shoulder blades. Good. Now we're going to add in some laughter to this movement. So we're going to inhale, reaching out. And as we pull, we're going to imagine that we're pulling a big weight and we're going to use the laughter to help us pull it in. All right, ready? Here we go. And again, reaching out and laugh as you pull. Let's do that a couple more times. Inhale, reach. And again, reach and pull. Awesome job. We're going to reverse that now. So this time you're going to start with your hands kind of elbows bent in front of you. Pretend like you've got weight in front of you that you're going to push out away from you. So inhale, coming back. Exhale, push forward. Inhale, coming back. Exhale, push. One more time, breathing, inhale. Exhale, push. Awesome. This time we're going to add in some laughter to help us push that weight. Inhale, coming back, and push with a laugh. Inhale, coming back. Exhale, push. All right, we're going to pretend like we just have a little bit of weight to push coming back. This time we're just going to kind of let out a little giggle to push maybe 1 pound forward. Ready? All right, coming back again. This time we're going to push, let's say 10 pounds forward. So we have to laugh a little harder to get that weight pushed. Ready? Here we go. And inhale, coming back. All right, this time, I don't know why we did this, but we decided to put 200 pounds on our weight stack. So in order to push that weight forward, we've really got to laugh hard to do that. All right, 1, 2, 3. Woo, nice job. Go ahead and come back. Relax your arms down. I saw you all push that weight forward. Good work. Ho, ho, ha, ha, ha. 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 Ah, good. All right, let's stretch a little bit more. Inhale, bring your arms up. Exhale, bring your elbows, kind of bend your elbows down. And then just kind of open up your chest, stretching out those chest muscles. Good. And then interlock your fingers in front of you and just kind of press forward, stretching your upper back in whatever way feels good for you. Nice. Inhale, coming back, stretch the chest muscles again. exhale, pushing forward. Good. And then bring your arms in and just encourage you to kind of give yourself a little hug, a little affirmation here for you. Willingness to give yourself permission to laugh today. Good. And relax those arms down. So I've got just a couple more exercises I'll lead you through here, and then we'll end the session with just a little bit of a grounding or relaxation exercise. So I thought it would be fun. And one of the beauties of laughter yoga is really anything can be made into a laughter exercise. So I find it fun to do themed exercises depending on what time of year it is or what's going on in the world. So since we are just starting November, we just celebrated Halloween yesterday, we're going to do pumpkin laughter. So we're going to pretend like we are a pumpkin. So our head is a pumpkin. And we've got out our carving knife, and we're just going to carve different expressions into our pumpkin face. And then we're going to laugh like those expressions. So let's start out being super happy, joyful pumpkin. So go ahead and carve out an extremely happy face on your pumpkin. Let's see your happy face. Good. And then let out your most joyful, hearty, happy laughter sound. Ready? Lovely. All right. Now let's be evil pumpkins. Okay, so get out your carving knife again. This time we're going to carve an evil expression on our pumpkin face. Start with the eyes, get the nose, and the evil mouth. Good. Let's see your evil faces. I have trouble making an evil face. All right. Let's see your best evil sound of laughter. Ready? Whoa. Ooh, we've got some pretty good evil laughs out there. Nice job. All right, let's do one more. Let's do silly expressions on our pumpkin face. So get out your carving knife again and carve your silly eyes, your silly nose, and your silly face. And let's see your silly faces. Nice job. All right, take a big inhale and let's let out a loud, silly sound as we bring our arms down. 1, 2, 3. Let's do it again. Inhale coming up, and let's hear a silly sound. Love it. Nice job, you guys. All right. I am going to have us bring us into an affirmation for it's called the Amazing Chant. And I like to end most of my laughter sessions in this way. I'm going to demonstrate it for you one time, and then we will all do it together. It starts with 2 thumbs up, and it goes like this. I am amazing. You are amazing. We are amazing. Ha, 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 ha. So we're going to do this 3 times in a row. And this is meant to really affirm us for participating in laughter yoga, for some of us for being awesome caregivers, and just affirming how amazing we are as people in general. So get out those affirming thumbs, and we'll do this chant 3 times in a row. Here we go. I am amazing. You are amazing. We are amazing. Ha 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 ha. I am amazing. You are amazing. We are amazing. Ha 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 ha. I am amazing. You are amazing. We are amazing. Ha 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 ha. Nice job. Give yourself a little round of applause there. Good work. All right, take another big inhale coming up. We're just going to start grounding ourselves as we wrap up our session here, and just kind of coming down slow motion. Nice, deep, long exhale coming down. Good. And relax your shoulders. And we're just going to take a moment now to do a little relaxation. So you can close your eyes if you feel comfortable, or if you want to just kind of gaze softly downwards. I'm going to go ahead and mute us just so we don't have any noises distracting our relaxation here. So take a moment to just tune into your body and scanning your body from your head all the way down to your toes, and just noticing any sensations that you feel, all of the aftermath of the laughter and the breathing. And after you've kind of scanned your body as a whole, you can start kind of relaxing each area of your body one by one, relaxing your face muscles. It's okay to bring a little smile to your face if that still feels good for you. Relax your shoulders, relaxing your belly, your hips, and relaxing your legs, even all the way to the very tips of your toes. And then take a moment now to notice how you feel on a mental and emotional level. Notice in particular if you feel any different now than you did before you started the laughter yoga session. See if you can name any emotions that you might be feeling right now. And then coming full circle back around to our breath, take a nice big inhale and exhaling. And then just kind of letting the breath go at its own pace. And then slowly bringing ourselves out of the relaxation, kind of wiggle your fingers and your toes. And when you're ready, opening up your eyes. Wonderful. All right. Well, that is the end of our laughter yoga session. I want to thank you for participating with me. I also want to invite you to participate with me again. I'm going to be doing these sessions weekly throughout the entire month of November. You can find the days and times from the calendar of events that is on the page where you found the Zoom link to join this meeting today. So all the details are on there. I believe there's a couple of Fridays and a couple of Wednesdays in there. Pay attention to the time as well. But it won't be the exact same session every time. It'll be the same format, but I like to bring variety into my laughter yoga session. So we'll change up the exercises and do some different things from session to session. So it will be a unique experience, even if you come to every single session, which I would love for you to do. So with that, I will go ahead and turn it back over to Lindy to transition into our next session. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Amy. That was great. I feel relaxed. Got some laughter in for the day. And so thank you for joining us, everyone. And if you're planning to stick around, we will have our next session starting here in the next 25 seconds here, as we'll be hitting 12:30. And we'll be getting some other folks entered into the room here for that session. And that's going to be our nutrition tips. And that will be with our colleague, Angie Murad. And it looks like Angie is on and ready to go here. So it is 12:30. So welcome, Angie, and welcome guests that are joining us.
Thank you.
All right. Well, I'll do a brief introduction here, and then I'll let you take it from there. Sound good?
Sounds good.
All right. So heading over to our bio here. Angie Murad received her bachelor's degree in dietetics from the University of Wisconsin-Madison on Wisconsin, and received a master's degree in public health and public health practice from the University of Massachusetts, Amherst. Angie has served in several roles at Mayo Clinic, with most of her time as a registered dietitian, nutritionist in health and wellness. She currently serves as a patient educator in the Mayo Clinic Comprehensive Cancer Center, developing curriculum and providing education tailored to meet the needs of patients throughout their cancer survivorship journey. With that, welcome, Angie.
Thank you all for joining us today to recognize caregivers. I have some slides that I will be sharing with you. Give me a moment to get those up and going. Just wanted to make sure. So perfect. Well, welcome. So today I wanted to do, well, throughout the month, as Amy had mentioned, we will be doing other sessions. So I will be providing some nutrition tips on a variety of different topics. So today's session will be focused on plant-focused eating. And plant-focused eating is one of the top nutrition trends for 2023. So this food trend is here to stay, but I will say, you don't need to follow a trend necessarily, but choosing to eat less meat, many people do it for a variety of reasons. But we know that focusing more on plant foods can help reduce your risk of cancer and other chronic diseases. So as a cancer caregiver or any type of caregiver for a loved one, you can help protect your own health and your loved one's health by following this type of eating pattern. So today I just have a couple things that I want you to walk away with. So first of all, I want you to understand or be able to describe what plant-focused eating is and its benefit for people who have cancer and their caregivers. I also will be providing 4 simple ways that you could begin to move towards plant-focused eating as well. So this image is from the New American Plate, which is a healthy eating pattern. And an eating pattern, I've referred to that in the previous slide, but just really it's a way that someone typically eats over time. And this image is and eating pattern is from the American Institute for Cancer Research, or AICR. And the recommendations for this eating pattern are for cancer prevention as well as cancer survivors. And following these recommendations, you can also reduce your risk of chronic diseases such as heart disease, diabetes, stroke, or just a few of them. So most of the foods that I'll talk through and you see on the plate come from plants. So we often automatically, our brain kind of goes to vegetables, fruits, but whole grains, and I'll describe a little bit more about what that includes: beans, nuts, and seeds. So depending on where you are within your cancer survivorship, if people are watching, not just caregivers, so whether you've just received a diagnosis or beyond treatment, your nutrition requirements can be different, and what you can tolerate to eat may be different, and you might require modifications, whether that's with the texture. You may have foods that maybe you're not tolerating so well, and that might be the time that you may need to seek more individual recommendations from a registered dietitian nutritionist. So the other thing that I wanted to say too is that this is an eating pattern that you might want to strive towards. It's not the exact way that you have to eat. Like I said, depending on where you are with your cancer survivorship. So with this New American Plate, the recommendation is 2/3 of the plate being from the plant sources like vegetables, fruit, whole grains, and beans. And the reason that we really want to try to focus on that is that these foods are higher in fiber, and they also have phytochemicals, which essentially just means plant chemicals. And these phytochemicals may help prevent cells from damage. And that's essentially what cancer is doing, is it damages the DNA in cells. And vegetables can be, we just want a variety of vegetables, really with a lot of variety of colors. There is some evidence to support cruciferous vegetables. So examples of those like broccoli, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, cabbage, and kale, because they're even more rich in fiber, and it has been shown to lower colorectal cancer risk. And again, fruit isn't necessarily shown in this plate, but if you can include them and sprinkle them throughout the day and eat those, all types are great. Again, a variety of colors, because the variety of colors provide different phytochemicals. So that's why you might have heard like eat the rainbow. And we do know too that berries are especially rich in fiber, and they also have antioxidants similar to phytochemicals that can help prevent chronic diseases, which includes cancer. Then with whole grains, they're higher in fiber. And some examples would be, instead of having white rice, having brown rice. So also instead of white bread, wheat bread. Another example would be oats. Even popcorn is a whole grain. It's mostly just what we're putting on the popcorn that might not be as healthy, but that would also be an example of a whole grain. And then other things on this plate is chicken, is being a protein source, but I want to mention beans, lentils, peas can be good sources of protein, but they're also higher in fiber too. So that's something that, and some of the tips that I'll talk about as well. Then with the third of your plate coming from animal protein. So choosing proteins that are going to be lower in saturated fat. So considering seafood, poultry, low-fat dairy foods, and occasionally red meat. Just reducing saturated fat can reduce the risk of recurrence in men with prostate cancer and reduce breast cancer mortality overall. So just wanting to also consume a moderate amount of red meat, and red meat includes beef, lamb, and pork, and trying to keep our portions to about 3 ounces. And that's once it's cooked. So that's an example of a deck of cards is about 3 ounces per serving. And we really, with red meat, to try not to exceed 12 ounces. The American Institute for Cancer Research really has a range from 12 to 18 ounces, but working towards trying to get to about 12 ounces per week. And then avoiding processed meats. Some examples of processed meats are smoked, cured, salted, and any meats that have preservatives in them. So some examples would be like hot dogs, bacon, sausage, and deli meats. And processed meats are considered a group 1 carcinogen, which is the same as cigarettes. So really trying to avoid those. And then, or thinking them as a treat, just as occasional. And then reducing highly processed foods. So foods and beverages, those would be things that have a lot of extra added sugars in them, extra calories, and not a whole lot of nutrients. And when we decrease the amount of highly processed foods, that can just help us maintain a more healthy weight that can reduce your risk of several types of cancers. Some examples, if you carry excess weight, can increase our risk of breast, prostate, lung, colon, and kidney are just some examples. So how can eating a plant-focused diet help you? It just helps you eat healthier overall, because we're going to get rid of less processed foods, and that will improve our health overall. It can also improve cancer outcomes, and research has shown that just better diet quality overall is associated with improved survival among some types of cancers like breast and colorectal cancer, and may help you tolerate treatment better, and improve your overall energy level when we just tend to eat a little bit healthier. It may improve quality of life during and after cancer treatment. So studies have shown that eating a healthy diet along with physical activity improves overall quality of life. But most of these studies, I will say, are with breast cancer survivors. And I kind of alluded to this with the last slide, but again, just when we focus more on plants, foods are just going to be naturally lower in calories. So again, if you are carrying excess weight, that can help us maintain a more healthy weight where we're at. But just a thing to note is that, you know, if you're caring for someone who needs to gain weight, you know, you will have to maybe just focus on foods with a little bit higher calories. And I will be doing a nutrition tips talking a little bit about that as well. So, and then the other thing too is following a more plant-focused diet helps reduce the risk of secondary cancers. I mentioned earlier, these foods are just typically higher in fiber, so it can reduce colorectal cancer risk. They're rich in antioxidants, those phytochemicals, and just lower in calories, so reducing those other types of cancers. And then two, it's kind of a big bang for our buck, right? It has multiple benefits. So again, it can also prevent, treat, and sometimes depending, reversal of some chronic diseases that I mentioned, like heart disease. So it's not just helping us with cancer prevention. So some of the tips that I wanted to talk a little bit about is I always recommend with any type of change is to start small. So think about ways that you can start small and implement plant-focused eating. Perhaps thinking about one meal where you may be lacking, either in a fruit, a vegetable, or a whole grain. And could you add that to a meal? So again, just starting with one meal. And as an example, like, could you use whole grain, whole wheat bread as opposed to white bread? Just little things like that. Then trying recipes with other protein sources. I mentioned with the New American Plate, beans or lentils are a great protein source. So trying to add those to recipes. You can just add those, decrease the amount of meat, add more beans to a dish, so you're not decreasing the amount of protein necessarily in your meal. Then plan a meatless version of one of your favorite recipes. For example, if you just, you make lasagna, could you maybe do it so that you have eggplant as your, that you could use that to replace the meat? Could you use beans in soup as opposed to meat? Or again, just reduce the amount that you're using in a recipe. So too, if you're with pasta, you could add whole wheat pasta as opposed to just regular type of more processed pasta. And then thinking about one meatless recipe that you could do each week. Often when we want to implement a change, the recommendation is to try to do it at the beginning of the week. We're more successful if we try it at the beginning of the week, just looking at different recipes. And one thing I will recommend to you as a resource, and I'll have it at the end with my information, but if you even search on Mayo Clinic healthy recipes, that will bring you to a host of mini recipes that Mayo Clinic has developed. And they have a meatless link that you can go to that lists a whole bunch of meatless recipes if you want to try that. So just want to mention that. Then too, the other tip I want to recommend is make convenience your friend. We want to make it easy. We don't want to make it complicated. So using frozen packaged vegetables or fruit, make sure though that the fruit is unsweetened, that vegetables don't have a lot of extra sauces, which may add extra calories. But this just can save time on chopping. It also saves on so that you don't waste things too. You just need what you think you're going to eat. So that can be one great way too. Salad mixes, there's so many out there. So there's many greens, chopped lettuce. Some have mixes with cabbage and carrots. So you can really try many different options. And then also too, I encourage you to check out the freezer section for whole grain options. This just kind of blew my mind on how many options are out there. It's not whole grain, but one thing that just popped into my head when I was talking about that, but kind of like the cauliflower that can be used almost as if it were like a whole grain. But the other thing too is there are whole grains like quinoa is an example of a whole grain that has a little bit more protein. And then I've even seen mixes in the frozen section that have beans and vegetables. I mean, that's almost like a whole meal in itself. If you wanted to do a bowl or something like that, but there's many different options out there. So I encourage you to just check out the freezer aisle to kind of take a look at that. And then thinking about a fruit or a vegetable as a snack, that can be a great way to include an extra serving of fruits or vegetables. So example, the baby carrots you see out there, or the snap peas with hummus, you could do that. Bananas, berries. So a lot of different options too, where you can pack them and kind of keep them handy. It can be a nice way too. Bananas are already packaged, right? You can take them with you. But if you're even going to different appointments, it can really help boost your nutrition too, to think about the day before a busy day of appointments where you can pack snacks with different fruits or vegetables and have them in a lunch sack if you need. So just wanted to put that out there too. So also being creative, instead of the plain old breakfast cereal, what are some options that you could include for breakfast? And so or breakfast, lunch, or dinner, just thinking outside the box. So some examples would be like overnight refrigerator oatmeal. There are many different options that you could search online, but there is even a recipe on mayoclinic.org recipes. Another example might be a frittata, which just sounds really fancy, but essentially what it is an open-faced omelet that has like sauteed vegetables with it. Or even too, could you add salsa to your eggs in the morning too and do that as well? So adding just fruit to your cereal. There's many options too of whole grain frozen waffles. So again, just popping them in the toaster, you could put peanut butter or nut butter and slicing some bananas on top. So again, boom, you've kind of got a lot of different things that is whole grain. It's a nut butter, has some protein, and you have a fruit there. And I mentioned the overnight oats. So. And then lunch or dinner, our brain goes to salad, like not that you want to have to do that all the time, but it doesn't have to be just a plain salad. You can get really creative with it. There's a lot of different recipes out there called, and these were popular a while back, but just want to put it out there if you want to look into this too. But like the jar salad in a jar recipes are really creative. So they might have, and they don't have to be in a jar. They could be in a bowl, but they have noodles in them. They have dried fruit, maybe some nuts. So just kind of thinking about, it doesn't just have to be a plain salad. You could add sliced eggs on them. That is an animal protein, but again, just kind of thinking about different ways to have a salad, and even different grains to your salad. Cracked wheat is called bulgur, couscous. So just those add a lot of different flavors too, and textures as well. And I mentioned this, adding salsa to eggs. The avocado toast was really popular. Guacamole, adding that to different recipes. So just a lot of different things that you can mix up and change up and thinking outside the box. Even a roasted red pepper pineapple salsa is a recipe that's on mayoclinic.org that you can use on the side with fish or chicken, again, just to change up the flavor a little bit. So those are a lot of different options. Then I touched on red meat. So we really just want to decrease the amount of red meat and trying to work towards about 12 to 18 ounces at most, but trying to work towards 12 ounces and thinking about like 3 ounces, about the size of a deck of cards. So kind of keeping that in the back of your mind. But I don't want you to think that you can never have it, right? It's a great thing to eat and include in your diet. So it may just be assessing how often you're eating it throughout the week, or how often you're eating processed meats too. So you may be surprised that maybe you're not including it that often. But if you do see that you're including it quite a bit, how can you change it up and find new recipes, and considering other lower saturated fat options like seafood or chicken, or even the non-animal protein sources like beans or lentils. And then thinking about 2 other flavors and textures to meals. Meat has a specific flavor and texture. It's often described as what we call the 5th well-recognized taste, called umami, which is described like a savory or a meaty taste. But there's other things too that also can give us that same type of flavor. So like soy sauce, and then savory spices like cumin, smoked paprika, and even some vegetables like tomatoes, asparagus, winter squash, sweet potatoes, and carrots. So thinking about those kinds of things that can give us kind of that savory flavor, but it's not necessarily meat. And I will say too that roasting, grilling, and sautéing also can let out this flavor too. So considering that as well, because it breaks the protein up and it increases and releases some of that flavor. And then I also would say that mushrooms have this rich, savory flavor, and they even have a texture very similar to beef that can be replaced. And I've alluded to this throughout, but beans, lentils, peas can increase protein and fiber, which have many health benefits. They don't virtually no saturated fat. So if we compare, not that we want to eat a whole cup of lentils, but just comparing a whole cup of lentils with like 4 ounces of ground beef, lentils have about 18 grams of protein and 15 grams of fiber. Wow, that's a lot, and virtually no saturated fat. Whereas when we compare it to 4 ounces of ground beef, that has 14 grams of protein and no fiber, and 11 grams of saturated fat. And lentils too can replace ground beef in recipes too. So considering that in replacing different recipes. And the last tip with that too is including more vegetables to stews, chilies, or just adding to your plate more vegetables. It increases the volume. We often eat with our eyes. So when we add more vegetables to that, it doesn't feel like we're necessarily being deprived in amount. Frozen vegetables can be added to stews or chilies to increase volume if you decrease the amount of meat too. So those are a few of those 4 tips on how you can reduce the amount of or increase the amount of plants in your diet. So I hope that some of those may spark some ideas of how you can do that with how you're currently eating. So even just tracking how you're eating can build awareness of how many fruits, vegetables, and whole grains, nuts, seeds we include throughout the day. And here's some of the resources I wanted to share with you. So I mentioned that with Mayo Clinic, you can just search healthy recipes and mayoclinic.org. That'll bring you to a lot of different recipes. Our Cancer Education Center provides a lot of different offerings. I'm going to mention one of those in a next slide or so. So wanted to mention that of a nutrition offering. We do also on our Mayo Clinic Connect Cancer Education blog, we have this nutrition during cancer learning module that you can do at home. So if you're caring for someone that is struggling to meet nutrition or having certain nutritional concerns, that can be a learning module to kind of get more information on that. And also the American Institute for Cancer Research also has healthy recipes too. And then the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics, that's the national organization for registered dietitians and nutritionists. They have a whole host of recipes as well. So I hope some of the information, some of those tips are some ways that you can do one step to kind of move more in the direction of a plant-focused diet. And I wanted to mention, I mentioned this in the beginning, that we'll have some other nutrition tips throughout the month that is in our schedule of events where you found this link. We'll talk about eating out in a healthy way, nutrition during cancer treatment, and then how to have some healthy snacks to just not only include more plant focus, but other types of things when you're on the go. And this too, I wanted to mention our Cancer Education Center, the Stephen and Barbara Sloggy Family Cancer Education Center, is going to be having a new class next year. It's Meal Planning Basics for Cancer Survivors. You do need to be a Mayo Clinic cancer patient, but I wanted to mention that our classes are free. So just wanted to let you know that to be on the lookout, and that'll be on our cancer education blog in our classes and resources page. So wanted to mention that. So at this time, I think we have a few minutes, just a couple minutes for questions. So I'll stop sharing.
So any questions for Angie, or you can drop them in the chat if you don't want to unmute and ask.
Thank you, Angie. Really helpful tips. I did have a question about what your take is on like organic versus just regular, because my mom's a cancer survivor, but also retired and on a budget.
Mm-hmm.
And so just wondering about that.
Yeah, so it's really, I want to mention it's not my take on it, but really overall, like what the evidence tells us is really so organic versus conventional. So with organic, you're going to get less pesticides, but with that. But you did mention, Rachel, that it can be quite cost prohibitive, right? So with certain, if you're going to buy all organic. So nutritionally, I will say that the nutrients are not very minimally, not very different with organic versus conventional. So the one thing I would say would be with meat, there's more like of those omega-3 fatty acids, because if you think with organic, those animals are out on the pasture, free range, eating grass as opposed to like corn fed. And then that would also include like milk and dairy products too, would also be high in omega-3s. But other than that, you're really not going to get nutritionally not that different. Now, from a fact of the pesticides, even organic will have some chemicals used to keep pests away. They're not going to be ones that are, they might not use as much, and they won't be like more synthetic type chemicals. So overall, they make sure that the amount that's used is going to not be, they're testing that and making sure it's not. But that being said, everyone's different in what they want to consume. So one recommendation, especially because they can be quite cost prohibitive with buying organic, is just really thinking about what is being exposed to pesticides. So for example, berries, right? If you're spraying things with the pesticide. Berries would be one example of something that could get exposed to a lot of different types of chemicals, as opposed to like a banana, right? That's in a peel that wouldn't be exposed. So one thing, if that's a concern for you, is that there's something called the Dirty Dozen and Clean 15. You could even search that, and it kind of gives examples of different kinds of fruits and vegetables that would be better to choose because they would be exposed to less pesticides. So I hope that answers your question. Okay, I see Rachel giving a thumbs up. Good.
All right. Great question. Thank you for the great answer. Well, that brings us to the end of our session today. So thank you for participating. Reminder for everybody that inside the chat, I just dropped it back in there to find all of our events that are taking place this month, and also the recording. You can go there to find that. So thank you and have a great rest of your day.